Your home has a silent guardian, a real unsung hero that protects everything you care about from the elements. And yeah, we're talking about your roof. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what your roof is up against, and more importantly, how you can make sure it survives the fight.
So, what is this big battle I'm talking about? Well, if you live in a place like Arvada, Colorado, right there along the Front Range, you know it's not just a little bit of rain. No, it's a constant, multi front war against some seriously harsh conditions.
Enemy number one, the altitude. Yeah, you heard me right. At over a mile high, the air is just thinner, and that means there's way less atmosphere to filter out the sun. So your roof is getting blasted by this incredibly intense, high-altitude ultraviolet radiation day in and day out.
And the impact of that? Well, it's pretty staggering. Get this, at this elevation, your roofing materials are degrading 40% faster than they would down at sea level. It's like your roof is aging in fast forward. It's wild, right?
Okay, threat number two, the wind. And listen, we are not talking about a gentle breeze here. We're talking about those powerful Chinook winds that can just blast through at 60 miles per hour. That kind of force, it doesn't just whistle past. It's literally trying to get under the edges of your shingles to lift them up and tear them right off the roof.
And finally, of course, there's the snow. 60 inches a year on average. That brings a 1-2 punch. First, you've got the sheer weight of it all, just stressing the whole structure. And second, you've got those destructive ice dams that form, which can actually force water back up and under your shingles, exactly where it is not supposed to go.
All right, so you've got the sun, the wind, and the ice. Let's officially meet these environmental villains who are waging this constant, hidden war on your home's most important defender. So first up, that intense UV radiation we talked about, it literally just cooks the life right out of your shingles. Then you've got hailstorms that can come through and shatter them. Don't forget that high-velocity wind, always trying to peel your roof back like a tin can. And on top of all that, you have those freeze-thaw cycles. Water gets in, freezes, expands, and just cracks everything from the inside out. It is a really tough environment out there for a roof. But here's the good news. Your roof doesn't just suffer in silence. Nope, it actually sends out little distress signals. So in this next section, we're going to turn you into a roof detective. We'll teach you how to spot trouble long before it turns into a total catastrophe.
Okay, detective, your first clue is often found in a place you might not expect. Your gutters. You know, when you're cleaning them out and you find all that coarse, sandy-looking stuff at the bottom, most people just wash it away without a second thought. But that is a huge warning sign. It's what we call the mystery of the granules in the gutter. So what in the world are these things? Well, think of granules as your shingles' sunscreen. They're these tiny particles that shield the asphalt from that brutal UV radiation. Without them, the sun just bakes the essential oils right out of the asphalt, which makes it brittle and easy to crack. So when you see those granules in your gutter, it means your roof sunscreen is literally washing away, leaving it totally exposed and vulnerable. All right, so beyond the gutters, there are a bunch of other visual cues you can look for, both on your roof and even inside your house. So here's a quick checklist of the big warning signs. Everything from how your shingles look to those late-stage alarms, like, the dreaded water stains on your ceiling. Now listen up, because this is a really crucial point. We all focus on the shingles, right? But get this. 80% of roof leaks are actually caused by something else entirely. Flashing failures. That's that metal or rubber stuff they use to seal the joints around chimneys, vents, skylights, you name it. When that stuff fails, water gets in. It doesn't matter how great your shingles are. Okay, so that's all the slow, creeping kind of damage. But what happens when a major storm rolls through and suddenly you have a real crisis on your hands? Let's talk about your emergency action plan. You really want to think of these as the tools in your emergency kit. First, you need access to emergency tarping to stop a leak in its tracks. Then, rapid leak detection to figure out where it's coming from. And of course, you might need specialized help for things like ice dam removal or, heaven forbid, a tree hitting your house. The bottom line is, getting a proper assessment right after a storm is absolutely key to knowing what you're really dealing with. And it's also really important to know what kind of damage you're even looking at. They're not all the same. Hail damage, for instance, doesn't just leave a dent. It actually bruises and fractures the core of the shingle, and that's what knocks all those protective granules loose. Wind damage, totally different beast. It attacks the seams, lifting and tearing shingles right where they're nailed down. It usually starts at the edges and just works its way in.
Okay, so a storm came through, you've identified some damage. Now what? The whole professional repair process can seem, well, pretty intimidating. But honestly, it's a really clear playbook. So let's break it down and take some of that anxiety out of the equation. It really just boils down to 3 simple phases. Phase 1, a complete damage assessment. A pro is going to look over the entire roof system, not just the spot that's leaking. Phase 2, the actual repair work. That means taking out all the damaged stuff and installing new materials exactly how the manufacturer says to. And finally, Phase 3, quality verification. This is the final walkthrough to make sure everything is perfect, clean, and done right.
In that assessment, it leads to the big question: do you repair or do you replace? The logic here is actually pretty straightforward. If your roof is mostly in good shape and has, say, 10 plus years of life left, then a targeted repair for one specific problem makes total sense. But if the damage is all over the place or your roof is just getting old, then a full replacement is usually the smarter long-term solution, especially if the cost to repair starts getting close to the cost of a whole new roof.
Okay, a quick but super important note on insurance. Let's be honest, dealing with insurance adjusters can be complicated. This is why having a professional on your side to document everything, we're talking photos, detailed reports, the whole shebang, is so critical. It helps ensure your claim gets handled fairly and you get every dollar you deserve. All right, now for our final section. We spent a lot of time talking about reacting to damage after it happens, but the real power, the real game changer, is shifting from that reactive mindset to a proactive one. Let's talk about how to protect your biggest investment before disaster even has a chance to strike. So what does a proactive plan actually look like? It's really just about catching the small stuff before it becomes a huge, expensive nightmare. It's about checking those critical failure points we talked about, like worn out flashing or cracked sealant around the pipes. It's about nailing down a couple of lifted shingles before the wind can rip them off. These tiny fixes can prevent a catastrophic leak down the road. And honestly, regular inspections are your absolute best friend for finding them early. And why is this so important? What's the payoff? Well, get this. A simple, consistent plan for preventative maintenance can extend the life of your roof by 3 to 5 years. That is a massive return on your investment, all just for catching small problems early. So, we'll leave you with this thought. Your roof is out there 24/7, fighting a battle for your home. Is its armor still intact? Is your home's first line of defense truly ready for whatever comes next?